Okay, this is assignment 1 for week 30. Oh, I don't know why that happened. Assignment 1, 3:30 to 4, I don't know, 3, I think. So this is all Pythagorean Theorem, and this is just the hypotenuse, solving for the hypotenuse. So remember, the hypotenuse means it's your diagonal side, your longest side on a triangle, also known as C, when we use the formula. So when we use that formula, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we need to label our triangle first. And this one's kind of weird because it looks, I don't know, it doesn't look like a straight triangle, but if we know that this is 25 feet, then that means this is 25 feet. Okay, and if we know that this is 35 feet, then this is also 35 feet because it's a rectangle, but we just need the triangle. So really, I'm just gonna use this side here and call it A, and I'm gonna use this side here and call it B, because this diagonal side is C, and that's what we were looking for. Okay, so I don't need this. I already have those numbers here and here, okay? So if that's A, 25, and that's B, 35, I'm gonna plug those into my formula. So A squared is 25, and I have to square it, which just means 25 times 25, okay, 25 squared, plus B squared, so that's 35 squared, equals C squared. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is combine these two. And when I do 25 squared plus 35 squared, that gives me 1850. Okay, and that is C squared. Okay, so that's basically whatever this side length is, we don't know yet, times itself. That's C times C, because it's C squared. We're looking for just C. So to get that, this is already squared, I have to do the opposite. So I want to take the square root. My child's just about to lose her mind. So the square root of 1850. And you can also do this on your iPhone calculator. You can do this on your, if you Google calculator, if you go to Desmos, there's an iPhone app called Calculate 84. And Androids have a TI 84 app too. Okay, so when I square root that, I get 43.01, and there it is, that's my answer. Okay, so make sure the first thing you do is to label your sides. I'm using colors, you don't have to use colors. I guess I could use the right color, couldn't I? So I'm gonna label that A, that B, this whole worksheet, remember we're looking for C. So that might help you. And if we're always looking for C, then we're going to be adding on this one. B squared equals C squared. Okay? So combine them, add these, and then remember your last step is always to find the square root, okay? And just for good measure, I'm going to go through and we'll identify all of the hypotenuses. We're going to find the C's on all of these shapes because some of the pictures look a little weird. This one, this is kind of like number 1. We just need that length, okay? I don't need to worry about the other side of the pizza. I got my A and my B. Oh my. Same thing with the sandwich. This is C. Whoa! You got C. Ignore these. That always trips kids up. Don't worry about that. You label it how you would always label a right triangle. Same thing on this one. For some reason, kids get really freaked out when they like C, A, B, and C. Don't worry about it. That's C. Oh, this one's labeled for you. How cute. And this one's going to be the ladder. That's C. My child is a monkey. Are you a monkey? Yep, she has Cheerios on her face. There's C. C. Okay. this one is assignment number 2 for the week of March 30th to April 3rd. This is Pythagorean Theorem again, but with legs and hypotenuse. So when we have our right triangle, remember the diagonal side, the side directly across from the right angle is our C, that's the hypotenuse. A is our shortest side, and B is our middle length side, okay? So 2 things to remember if we are looking for the hypotenuse. We are always going to add and just use the formula like it is. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay, that's if we're looking for C. If we're missing one of the legs, since we have the biggest side, that's what that would mean. If we're missing one of the legs are A or B, then we'd have to subtract, because that means we know this biggest number. So like on number 1, I'm going to go through and label them, because that's the first thing you need to do. I've got C. This looks like the medium size link. It doesn't really matter at this point. A and B can be kind of interchanged. And then A is something that I don't know, because there's no link there. So what we're going to do is, since we know that biggest side, we're going to subtract. So I'm going to take C squared minus the leg that I do know, which happens to be B squared, equals A squared. Okay, so that's going to be 80 squared, because 80 is just the side length. I haven't squared it yet. Minus 50 squared equals A squared. Okay, and I'm going to do this together in my calculator. You can use whatever kind of calculator you're using. Or if you want to do 80 times 80, get your answer, and then subtract 50 times 50, that will work just the same. Okay, so when we do that, 80 squared minus 50 squared, I get 3,900. But that is A squared, that's not A. I'm looking for A. I know that this is an answer choice, and they're going to do that to mess you up. That's not your choice. Okay, we're not done yet. So I have to find, this is already squared, so I have to go backwards and find the square root of 3,900. And that gives me 62, well, hold on. That's going to be A, which turns out to be 62.44. Okay, and that's an answer choice, so there we go. Okay, the reason we subtract is because it would be like solving an equation, okay? The reason behind it, if that confuses you, then you just need to know that I'm going to subtract. On number 2, same thing. If you're missing, we've got C, okay? So we're missing A again. Same thing. We're going to subtract. Subtract the C squared minus B squared, and that's going to give us A squared. And remember, just like on the regular Pythagorean Theorem formula, your last step is going to be to find the square root. Okay, don't forget that. And then on number 3, we don't have the hypotenuse. We don't know C. So that means we're going to add. We're going to use the regular formula, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay. Okay, on number 4, you're going to have to subtract because you have C. So you're going to have to say C squared minus, we'll say that's A squared equals B squared. Same thing on number 5. You're going to be subtracting C squared minus the missing side length on number 6. So in this case, we're going to have to add, and I'm not going to color code, I'm just going to use the A squared plus B squared, and remember, take the square root. On number 7, it's kind of weird because it's turned sideways, but if the sandwich is a right triangle, Then there's the right angle, so across from it, that 31 is your C. So since you have your C, that means you're going to subtract C squared minus, we'll say A squared equals B squared. 8, same thing, ignore those letters, because I know that screws y'all up. But you have the long side, the hypotenuse. There's not a right angle, but if there was, that would be your C, so that means you're going to subtract. Number 9 is the same thing. Again, ignore the A, B, and C. That's talking about the corners. This is your C because it's across from your right angle. So again, if you have your C, you have your longest side, then that means you're going to subtract. Number 10, same thing. Ignore, ignore, ignore. You have your hypotenuse, so you're going to subtract. Go back and look at the other problems if you need help and to write that formula down. Make sure you label your sides. You know this is C, so the other two don't really matter, honestly, A or B. 11, same thing. You have a C. You have your longest side, so you're going to have to subtract. And number 12, again, same thing. You have C, so you're going to subtract. And it doesn't matter if that 11 is A or B. You're going to do the same thing. Same thing on 13. You have your hypotenuse, you have C, so that's going to be subtracting. Same thing on 14. Subtract. And 15 is a little bit different because there's no number for C, so that means you're going to do the regular formula.